bought this thing about 2 months ago now for $900. I had to spend a few $100s to buy a new part. It still isn't fixed, so I might have to spend even more money. Yeah,
This is flipping PCs until I buy a house. The goal is to sell enough gaming computers, save up the profits, and put a down payment on a house. In the last episode, we sold a total of 5 gaming computers and we profited just under $1,000. And now our down payment fund is a little over $13,000. If you want to know how much progress we've made since then, stick around till the end.
if you happen to watch the previous episode, you may know that I moved into a new apartment and I am currently standing in the inventory room. This room is filled with computer parts. I would say there's almost $10,000 of inventory in here. We're going to start right here. This is a fully built gaming PC that's basically ready to be listed for sale already.
I bought this computer at a tech fair that was near me. It was a SoCal tech fair that was hosted by Jay's 2 Cents, Height, and iBuyPower. The tech fair was almost 2 months ago, and this has been sitting ever since. Yeah, shame on me. I was wanting to make a video on it, but here we are now.
Right off the bat, I'm pretty impressed so far. I mean, we got a whole little sound bar, and I paid $250 for this thing. But the kicker, I don't know what specs are in it, like, at all.
And on top of that, I'm not even sure if it works, but I bought it from Jay's 2 Cents, so I'm pretty sure it will work, unless he was selling broken stuff.
Let's go, we got a post. And some RGB. We got 3 RGB fans. It's stuck on green. I'm about to launch up Task Manager. Not very impressed. We will make it do though, we will make it do.
So here's what I saw when I looked in the performance tab. Yep. We got an i3, and at least it's 10th gen. It could have been worse, but when it comes to flipping this thing and making money, the name i3 might present some challenges for us, and to make it even better, it is paired with a single stick of memory. Yeah, that's not better. For the storage, we did get blessed with a 1TB SSD. I peeped in the back, and it's just a cheapo SATA SSD, but still way better than just getting a hard drive. For the strongest part in this whole build, it is the GPU, which is the GTX 1660 Super.
Remember how it was like super good for $250? Well, to make it even better, it's stuck on green. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the RGB. It's not too late, so I'm going to test it so I can list it for sale tomorrow.
I tested out Fortnite, and I wasn't sure what type of performance to expect, but let's say I'm neither impressed or disappointed. I guess I'm relieved it can at least play some games. The i3 is definitely holding us back. When it was released, it was a solid budget CPU option for 1080p gaming, but that was back in 2020. And in 2025, a 4-core, 8-threaded CPU is not going to cut it. It can play the game, you can see for yourself, it's not very smooth, and the CPU is sitting at 100% usage basically the whole time. We ended up averaging 68 FPS with a 1% low of 20, and for the settings I used 1080p DirectX 12, TAA, 100% 3D res. Everything else was on low except for far view distance. But I also tested with performance mode. One thing I noticed was the CPU was able to breathe. It was no longer at 100% usage. And in the end, we saw about a 30% increase in the average FPS, and the 1% lows also increased by a little bit. I wanted to test Valorant, and man, it was a snooze fest. I was trying to get some clips, but instead was getting whooped. But the PC was doing much better. We averaged 157 FPS, and the 1% low was 86, and this was at 1080p with medium settings. And funny enough, while I was testing Valorant, the RGB started cycling through on its own, so I'm not sure what it's doing, but at least we can get this computer listed for sale.
Have you ever been fishing? You're just sitting out there by the water getting no bites, so you think to yourself, wow, I wish I had another rod to increase my chances of hopefully catching a fish. Well, I like to apply that same thinking to flipping computers. That's effectively what I'm doing right now as I click publish on this listing. We increased our chances of selling a computer, but this thing isn't exactly a money maker. Right off the bat, I wasn't really impressed with it after finding out it only had an i3, so I only listed it for $420. It's still a fair price for what it is. I wanted to provide a good enough computer for someone starting out on a budget. It's not the best computer, so I didn't want to charge a ton, and after the fees and everything from Jawa, we'll make about $120.
Speaking of which, Jawa.gg is today's sponsor. They are a rapidly growing online marketplace for gamers like you and I to be able to sell and buy new or old gaming gear. I personally have been using Jawa for a little over a year now, and it's been nothing but a great experience. I use it more for selling, and as I said, the site is constantly growing, so that's good because you get new eyeballs on the stuff you're selling. But one of the main things that I like are the fact that the payments are secured. Say you sell a computer, well, Jawa acts as the middleman. As a seller, you have 3 days to ship, and if there are no issues 2 days after delivery, then the money will get released to you. If you want to try your hand at selling, then visit Jawa with the links below, or maybe you want to buy yourself a new computer, you can use my discount code ElijahsLab10 to save 10% on your first order. Thank you, Jawa, but now let's get back to this video and hopefully we start selling some computers.
Alongside this wall right in front of me is a bunch of unopened eBay packages. All of them are computer parts. Most of them were able to be returned, if they were broken, but I bought them 1 to 2 months ago. Let's go ahead and just open this one right now. You can see what that is. We got 3 AM5 CPUs. They're the Ryzen 5 7600s, and they were around $125 after the shipping and everything. This deal is only the beginning of what I have to open. I'm gonna be doing it off camera, but when I am done, I'll come back and give you a complete overhaul of everything that we opened up.
Now after testing, I did end up with a couple bad parts. We have the AM4 CPU, it's a Ryzen 5 4500 and a 32GB kit of DDR4. As of now, I lost $90.95, but that's if they don't end up working. Now for the little deals. We have that one power supply, and if I can be honest, as of lately, I've had a hard time getting deals on these. I bought this Apivia Prestige 600 watt 80 plus gold unit for a little under $30, and we received the power cord. Then I bought a 1TB NVMe SSD, basic Gen 4 model from Kingston, and it cost me $33.71. Also bought more RAM. Both are 32GB kits. The Corsair is clocked at 3600 MHz and cost me $36.38. And funny enough, the T-Force kit was barely more expensive, but it's slower at 3200 MHz. Moving on to the motherboards, I bought more of these than I thought. That's a good problem to have. We bought this B550M VC, has onboard Wi-Fi, and I secured it for $64.16. Then I bought 2 of these basic boards. They look identical. One is an MSI B450 for $52.21, and the other one is an A520, also from MSI, and that one was $51.66. Out of all the boards, this was the most expensive at $68.39. But I also bought a few combos. We have this really dirty looking one that cost me $71.78, but it came with an Asus TUF B450 and a Ryzen 5 3600. This next combo is Intel. It's a B360 Asus Prime motherboard with 16GB of DDR4 and the Intel i7 9700. No IO shield and only a single stick of RAM, but I paid $119.61. I thought that was a pretty good deal, but you can let me know in the comments. And then for the working CPUs, we have all those Ryzen 5 7600s, and then we have a Ryzen 5 3600X for $51.74 and a Ryzen 5 3600 non-X for $54.38. But now for the money makers, the GPUs. I have this blower style RTX 2070 Super for $151.16. Then somehow I bought 3 of the same model GPU all around the same time. I ended up buying the Gigabyte Turbo RTX 3080. I took the average of all 3 and it came out to $326.23 per card. That's not a bad little turnout, and they will run great after some tuning. I was toying around with a bit of undervolting, and that will work out great. And whenever I get around to building gaming PCs with these cards, I will be open and disclose the fact that they run hot. They are also pretty beefy, weighing in slightly above 3 pounds, so they might need some sag brackets.
That $250 i3 computer, it sold like pretty quickly too. The first thing that tells me people don't have a ton of money to spend when it comes to gaming computers. They just want something that works. And the second thing that tells me it was pretty good value from the start. It was basically a whole setup minus a monitor. It'd be perfect for esports, a first computer, or even basic things like homework. I actually shipped it off yesterday. As I said, the profit is right around $120. But the agenda and goal today, I want to start using some of those eBay parts get more computers built. I'm going to be starting with that i7-9700 combo with the B360 motherboard and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And then for storage, I'm just going with that Kingston M.2 SSD that we also unboxed. And then for the cooler, just a little basic tower cooler from Sama. It's about $10.86. And then the GPU. I'm pairing one of those 3 gigabyte turbo RTX 3080s. I hooked the parts up to a quick test bench, and you can see we got a post. And here is the case. I'm going with the GameMax F36, and you'll see why when I get building. I was just about to install the GPU, and this is actually the reason I went with this case. It has a little built-in GPU sag bracket, and this will be so nice because I said these RTX 3080s were pretty beefy. Build is basically done, just have a few small things to do. I'm adding 2 white PCIe cables for the GPU instead of using a full kit of cable extensions. And then I'm going to vinyl wrap the front logo because I don't really like the yellow, want it to match the white build better. And the last thing I need to add is a little RGB controller so all the fans can sync up. Time to build another computer. This build is a little more exciting than the last one, using one of those 3 Ryzen 5 7600s. The motherboard is just a B650 from Asus. Next up, we're going to need some RAM, and I'm going to be filling up 2 of these 4 slots. Here's what I'm using. It's from XPG, 32GB kit of DDR5 at 6000, and it's RGB. Can't have a build without storage. I'm going with this 1TB. It's a Clev Crass C910. Also comes with a little heatsink that you can install. You've probably noticed the AIO. It's a Thermalright Frozen 240mm. So let's go and get the mounting hardware on the motherboard, and then we'll get it installed in the case. And the case that I'm going with is the Okinos Mirage 4 in white. This case is actually pretty nice and compact. It makes the build look pretty good. I would say it's a pretty good choice for a micro ATX build. The build is coming together pretty nicely, and it doesn't even have a GPU in it. Speaking of, I'm going to be going with this all-white RTX 4060. Well, almost all white. The GPU isn't all white, but the power supply sure is. It's just a PVA Prestige 600 watt 80 plus gold unit. The build is done. Let's see if it at least turns on. Now, it is kind of late, so I'll see you in the morning. Here's the computer from last night. I am pretty happy to get this thing listed for sale. Let's just say I stayed up pretty late, but I did everything that this computer needed. I installed the Windows 11, I updated the BIOS and all the other drivers like enabled XMP and everything like that. And I also ran my stress test, Furmark, Prime 95, and OCCT. But remember how I had 3 of those Ryzen 5 7600s? Here we go. I did what made the most sense, and I built 3 of the same exact systems. Same CPU, same motherboard, same RAM, same AIO, same GPU, like every part is the exact same. Total cost on all of these is the exact same. So I'm gonna take pictures of these. I only have to take pictures of one of them, and I'm going to be listing them under one listing. I'm gonna be trying that out with a quantity of 3. But that's not the only computer that I'm going to be listing for sale. If you remember that i7-9700 and RTX 3080 computer that we built earlier, well, that's getting listed for sale. And then I had 2 more of those RTX 3080s. Well, I built 2 more RTX 3080 computers. Both of them are in the Sama SVO2, but if you remember from those eBay parts, I had a Ryzen 5 3600X and then a Ryzen 5 3600 non-X. So one has the X, one has the non-X, and then one has 32 gigabytes of RAM at 3600 megahertz. and one has 32 gigabytes of RAM at 3200. And we're not stopping there. I have two listings that I want to redo pictures on. Jawa recently updated the aspect ratio that they use. I used to be able to use 1:1, but now those pictures get cut off because they switched over to using 4:3. So I want to update two of those listings. One of them has a Ryzen 5 3600 RTX 2060. The other system has a Ryzen 7 3700X, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and an RTX 3080. That one also has not been selling, but hopefully once I update these pictures, they'll get more traction and then sell. All of the computers are listed for sale, other than this one right here. This is another one with an RTX 3080, and unfortunately the GPU started artifacting, so I lost about $320 on this build. I'm just gonna try not to cry. In the meantime though, I wanna talk to you about this big old box. This is a fully built computer, kind of like the beginning of this episode. I'll be completely honest with you, I bought this thing about 2 months ago now for $900. Long story short, I thought it would be an easy fix. I had to spend a few $100s to buy a new part. It still isn't fixed, so I might have to spend even more money. Yeah, we're losing money.
I'm going to explain a little more as I finally fix this thing so we can sell it. I bought it on Facebook and the seller said it had a RAM issue. After further talking, they told me they replaced the motherboard and it was showing a DRAM LED. The specs were pretty decent for the price. Had a Ryzen 7 9700X, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, and an RTX 5070. I thought, okay, for 900 bucks, this will be perfect. Just buy some new RAM and we'll be raking in the profits. Well, it wasn't the RAM. It ended up being a dead CPU. I installed everything on a test bench and it wasn't working until I swapped out the CPU. This computer started at 900 bucks. I had to buy a brand new CPU from Newegg for an extra 300. I'm just hoping I don't have to spend any more money on this build or else my profit will disappear like my dad. Imagine the RTX 5070 ends up dying. Oh boy, that would suck. During this episode, we did sell a few computers. They weren't anything crazy, but we profited right around $700. And if you want to see what happens with all the computers we built today, then you have to wait until the next episode. Smash a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.